Howdy, y'all, and welcome back. That right there is my dad and I jamming out to the new tunes in the Tacoma. And at 50 years old, that is the first time I have ever seen my dad air drumming. It was amazing. So, for those of y'all who don't know, my dad has Alzheimer's. Like, he literally asked who I was when we finished our little jam session in the truck. But for those few moments that we were listening to, I dug up some old tunes I knew he would love, and it was amazing. Put on the Doors, he's 28 years old and he's cool as fuck. Put on Buddy Holly, and he is 17 years old and he's jamming out. Like, it's amazing the power that music has. Worth every nickel that I put into that system just for that little session right there today. So, the story on this old truck. 2007, I was living out in California. My first wife threw me out on my ass because I was a drunk, and I came home to Texas, tail between my legs, picked up a job selling cars at the local Toyota store. And I'd been there for quite a few months when this truck comes in, rolls down off of the 18 wheeler, and I was like instantly, I got on the phone, I called my dad, I was like, Dad, you got to come buy this truck right now. It's perfect. It's what you need. He had been in the market, but this truck is a sort of rare, not like super crazy rare, but fairly rare combination. It is a pre-runner SR. So you've probably heard of the SR5 package, right? That's kind of the normal base model that we think of. The SR is the sub base model, the sub stock model. So it's got roll up windows. Nowadays they do have AC. Used to they didn't, but had AC. It has a stereo, but it sucked. But what was rare about this is that it's an SR pre-runner. So it's 4-cylinder, 5-speed, 2-wheel drive. It's normally what you see are the low guys, right? The 5 lug, not lifted, low little like utility Tacoma, right? The Orkin bug spray car, they're fleet vehicles. That's what most of the SRs are. And in 5, 6 months of working at that store, I had never seen a pre-runner version of it. So the minute it came in, I was like, Dad, get up here now. And he did. And I sold him that truck. Let's see if that shows up, hopefully. But anyway, that's me. So he buys the truck. He's still selling cars at the time, and way across town. So he was piling miles on it for the first couple of years that he had it, like piling miles on. I end up going back to California. I get sober. I come back to Texas. Been here, I don't know, year and some change. And one day my dad is on his way to work and he got rear-ended. Barely. Like a little baby love tap. The dents are still there. Barely bumped in the back end, but he got a $2,000 insurance settlement. And he used that money to go buy a load of saddles, and then he quit his job and put himself in the saddle business. And so very shortly after I joined, here's kind of what that looked like. And so we would drive all over Texas and Louisiana and all the way as far as Mississippi and sometimes up into Oklahoma. We would wholesale saddles. So we would buy a bulk order of them wholesale and then drive them out to little feed stores. We would do like different trade shows and fairs and festivals and stuff and either sell them retail to the public or we would wholesale them to feed stores. So the saddle business. And then that evolved into our brick and mortar store that we had for another 9 years. So that one little love tap on the back end, which is still there, created a 10-year long business basically. And that is the history that I have with this truck, is driving miles and miles and miles and miles in it with my dad, listening to a lot of the same stories, not realizing at the time that he was in the early stages of dementia already. But looking back, it makes a lot more sense now. So anyway, fast forward to 2019-ish, and he can't really drive anymore. I'm driving this old F100 with no air conditioning, and so I started basically taking his truck everywhere and using it all the time. And then my Ford sat so long that it just was dying, so I cheap sold it, moved it on down the road. We put the Tacoma in my name, and Now it's my truck. And so it's not just a truck, it's a truck with a lot of memories and a lot of history to me. And so that's why it's such a thing to dedicate a lot of mental bandwidth and and coin into keeping it cool and making myself stay in love with it. So let's go outside and take a look at it. So I cannot find the little adapter gizmo to go from my lav mic to my phone here, so we're just gonna raw dog it and you're gonna get phone mic. So if it doesn't work out, I just won't share all this, but let's take a look inside here and see what we've done. So this whole project started with fixing this. This is a new old stock from Toyota seat cushion cover, say that 3 times fast, and paid out the nose for it, but it is worth it. It matches pretty darn good considering the rest of these seats are 17 years old. I'm not mad at it. Even to the naked eye, it's just barely noticeable. And once I got that done, I thought, this not having Bluetooth in the year of our Lord 2024 is ridiculous. So we did the Alpine ILX W670, and behind that, inside the dash, is a KTA 450, which is a little teeny tiny 200 watt amp, and that is running to 4 6.5 inch kicker coaxials and kicker tweeters up in the doors. And that sounded pretty damn good, but it was just missing that, oomph. And so down below, well, you're not going to really tell much about it, but that is a 10-inch kicker subwoofer, the HS10. And we've added some fresh floor mats just to kind of tie the whole thing together. Oh, and 4 days after I got the head unit put in, somebody smashed out my passenger side window at work. They busted the window, went in the glove box, didn't even bother trying to go into the center console, I guess because the button is over here and they couldn't reach it or something. So my coworker comes in and tells me, "Hey dude, somebody just broke into your truck." And I immediately go, "Oh my God, my brand new stereo." Well, come to find out, I guess thieves these days aren't as industrious as they were back in my day. That would have been way too much work. They were looking for a quick smash and grab, and I keep nothing in here. Speaking of which, the one thing I do keep in here, this is the cloak of invisibility. This blanket is for when I am traveling up the road, going somewhere, and I do happen to have a bunch of guns in the truck. I'll toss that over and hope that people, these are not the droids you're looking for, kind of a deal. Fire extinguisher, poncho, gloves, some sunscreen down in there, right? All the essentials. So anyway, when I replaced the side window, I went ahead and got myself a new windshield. If y'all, some of my friends have seen this truck in person, and it had a rather significant crack that kind of went like from just almost the middle and then all the way across and up on the passenger side. I was able to pass inspection year after year because it didn't obstruct my view, but it was super janky looking, really trashy, and it had been broken since 2011. So what is that, like 13 years ago? So finally got the windshield replaced. So seat cover, tunes, mats, glass, and I'm a happy guy. And now my brain is back and I can concentrate on gun stuff again. So, y'all, all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much for your patience. I know it's been a weird diversion from my normal content. I'm really not good at multitasking, and when my brain, like when I tunnel vision onto some projects, especially when I'm doing wiring diagrams in my brain and stuff. Like, it takes all of my mental capacity to just get it done. And I have just not been feeling like shooting much at all. Got myself out here today, out in the garage, did some dry practice, knocking the rust out, getting ready to be a gun guy again. So thank you to all my supporters for your patience. We do have the Vortex Viper 1 to 6 giveaway coming up 4th of July. So stay tuned for that. Still have my Ruger Vaqueros, should be done pretty darn soon. Got to button up the Ruger Blackhawk project, final. And might be changing over from the dark side and picking up a new shooty semi handgun kind of thing. Might leave Glock. I don't know. We'll see. So more gun stuff to come. Thank you so much for all your patience. I really appreciate it, y'all. And until next time, be easy, y'all.